All right. Hey, everyone. Jordan here doing another one of my interviews. This time, I'm so happy to be chatting with Will from Make Our Matter Matter. Will, why don't you introduce yourself?
I think you just did. Um, yeah, Will, affectionately, I think, known as Uncle Willie to a lot of folks on Instagram and now OnlyFans.
Exactly. All right. So that's why I wanted to speak to you today. Uncle Willie, you've garnered such a following from this. I don't want to call it a persona because you do come across very genuine, but is this something that you expected to get? Is this something that has been a surprise to you? What has that experience been like?
I have Jordan. For starters, I have zero frame of reference. Right, I did
Uh-huh.
not exist on online anywhere on social media anywhere other than having had a LinkedIn profile that I really never did use, and then so people ask, and I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know whether this is good, bad. Although I got a thing from OnlyFans this morning said I'm in the top 10% of creators on OnlyFans. Like, how does that happen in 4 days? And I haven't even really done anything yet.
Look at that.
So again, I have no
Yeah,
frame of
yeah.
reference.
It's been really cool to see as someone who you hit my feed and I just continued to dig in more and watch, and you are able to take these comments and respond to them in such a fun way. I guess what was that experience like for you to make this account and do something that you were very passionate about and then get hit with something different? What was that experience like at first, and how has that kind of evolved over the last few months?
Yeah, great question. And July 15th was my first post on Instagram. Maybe 2 weeks before that, I had actually started a TikTok.
Okay.
And quickly, TikTok became a number of people reaching out, and it was mostly females from overseas, and it was very much, hey, I'm looking for somebody to marry, sort of thing.
Sorry.
And so quickly I was like, this doesn't feel right, and so I stopped that and I started on Instagram. And just real quick, make our matter matter. What it means is to have our physical matter, our physical existence means something greater than us in the world, and to be able to bring our psychological matter into physical reality, to be the best of our matter and the conscious connection between those things. So my quote unquote previous life was in, business and executive leadership. And so when I started this, that was really my intention, was to try and find a way to do what I used to do for businesses and the thing that I love to do more than anything else. The thing I always said I would do all day for free anyway, to just make that the thing that I did all day, every day. And on Instagram, the first couple of weeks, it was a lot of what I'll just call sort of traditional trolls, right? Just people coming in messing with me, right? Trying to get me to say things. And I got myself into a little bit of hot water there. And then afterwards, it started to attract, I'll call it more gender related. So like femboys and trans people. So it started to pull in some energy there and connect. And then, what I'll call the gay males primarily started to come in. And like very quickly, I was like, oh, am I allowed to curse or should I not curse, Jordan?
No, go for it. Go for
Okay,
it.
right?
This is
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, right, this isn't, I mean, again, I had no expectation, but I also had, well, and so at first I thought to myself, do I just walk away from it? Like, what do I do? And then I thought, no, I'm just going to lean into it, because what I realized pretty quickly is the energy that I'm attracting is the energy I want to attract, people who are looking for authentic connections and for whatever reason seem to be doing it in a way that is what I would consider to be chasing sensations versus feelings, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So I just started to try to figure out how to lean into it and be myself, and walking this path where I'm on this step and I'm taking the next one. The next step's not there yet. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm
Right.
just going to keep walking and see what happens.
And it's evolving as you go, and every day
Yeah.
you're seeing something different come out of it. So, I mean, that was a great definition of make our matter matter, and that totally makes sense to me as someone who I think all of us at our different stages in life are finding our way and trying to figure out how to be fulfilled while also contributing to society while also taking care of ourselves. What do you define make our matter matter as offering as a brand, or I don't want to say product because it
Yeah.
feels a little bit more authentic than that, but
No, and I'll just share my personal vision purpose, mission, method, and culture is the same as the quote unquote business. Right? So my vision is a world in which we all individually and collectively realize our full potential. Every individual member, and I believe every person on the planet is born of 100% equal value. And the more people who are realizing our individual potential is what's best for the group. And the name of the quote unquote business is actually group effect, which is the more people within a group who are doing what's best for the group overall, the more people will be attracted to that group who will do what's best for the group overall. There's no group without the individuals. Anytime you've got multiple individuals, you've got a group. So my vision is realized potential. And my purpose is to reduce the number of hurt and hurting people on the planet. The old expression, hurt people, hurt people. And I would
Hmm.
revise it a little bit to say hurting people, hurt people. So people who are currently experiencing hurt, who are currently hurting, are hurting or attempting to hurt other people. So my purpose is to reduce the number of those people. And flip side of that, let's just increase the number of loved and loving people who then will be loved and loving other people.
Yeah.
My personal mission is simply raise the tides, the old expression, right? Rising tide lifts all boats.
Hmm.
I don't want to be on a boat. I don't want to be on the water. I don't want to be on the shore. I want to be underneath the water, right? Pushing it up. So that's the mission. The method is purposeful practice and becoming a very, very efficient and effective purposeful learner. So I literally every morning I wake up and I go, okay, what do I want the version of me who goes to bed tonight to be able to teach the version of me that woke up this morning that I don't know now? And on Instagram every morning I share my reflections, my thoughts of the day based on my reflections from yesterday. And that's exactly what I'm sharing is here are the things that I learned yesterday that I could teach the version of myself that woke up in the morning that I didn't know. And then from a culture standpoint, who am I? I am the best of nature and nurture. So, what I mean by that is, I believe every person on the planet is born with the five most important traits: authenticity, empathy, curiosity, creativity, and courage. Every toddler on the planet has those things in. That's all they are. And then the version of society that we live in, certainly in the Western world, I think does a pretty good job of sucking that out of people. So really being that every day. So that's the nature side. And then the nurture side is being able to apply that in a strategic, simple, synergistic, and sustainable and scalable way. So that's a very quick overview of it, but
Yeah.
that's
No,
the
but
that's the vision, the purpose, the mission, the method, and the
right.
culture.
So it's more than just life coaching. It's really a mindset shift and trying to allow people to realize those versions or kind of do an inventory of themselves and then realize the version of themselves that would really benefit themselves and others.
Yeah. So generally, when I start a conversation with somebody, Jordan, the first question I ask them is, "Why do you exist?" And a lot of people, don't have answers to that. And the way that we get into that conversation is, I say, "Okay, at the end of your life, hopefully many, many, many years into the future, at the end of your life, what's that epitaph going to be on your
Hmm.
headstone?" Or even better, if every day you're creating pieces of a puzzle, at the end of your life, what is that image going to be that is created? And if we're not purposefully working to create that image, it might be some cool kaleidoscope looking image, but if we're not purposefully creating something, are we not living by accident? And that's basically where the conversation starts is if you want to transition from living by accident to living purposefully,
Hmm.
let's just talk about what the first thing you need. If I'm going to build a jigsaw puzzle, I need that box with the picture on the front. And so
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
where the conversation starts.
I like that a lot. And then you would do that on an individual basis in addition to someone following your overall lessons and content.
Yeah, when I started this thing and not having any experience with any of it, the first couple of posts, I tried to put a caption, I tried to put a hashtag or something. I was like, that's not it. That's not me for starters. And so I literally just started pressing a button, saying something, pressing the button again, and hitting post, doing everything that I guess you're not really supposed to do. But I believe in my heart of hearts,
Old,
and
old old school Instagram, keep it simple and don't think about it too much and just
well,
speak from your heart. Yeah.
and this is what I've got a son who's in university, in a fine arts university, and I talked to him a few years ago. We went out for lunch one day, and I said, "Son, this is my understanding of the way art works, and I think we're all creators, right? Everybody in the world has an equal
Sure.
opportunity to be a creator. Is that if I'm walking through a gallery and there's 10 paintings on the wall, what is it that, why does that one bring me, just draw me in?" And I said, my best understanding of it would be that that's somebody who took their physical matter, their psychological matter, consciously brought them together in a way that the aura, the frequency of that thing attracts like frequencies. So that's all I did with this is I said, okay, I'm going to purposefully, right? Literally just throwing pebbles in the pond. I don't know where the ripples are going to go. Don't know how far they're going to go, who they're going to touch, but I am going to purposefully think about my physical matter, my psychological matter coming to way in a conscious way that those pebbles have a certain frequency. And that's all I did. And now it's
And you
attracting what it's
created it.
attracting. Yeah.
Well, right. So good segue. So you've amassed this loyal following, I would call it, and it seems to be that you're, at least from what it seems like on the outside, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're enjoying this banter you're having back and forth with these folks. Have you seen it translate to a point where, someone comes in because, let's just be honest, they find you attractive, but you are getting them to actually buy into your mission and statement?
Yeah, it is a so I've started to introduce more jiu-jitsu related content, right? So I've practiced
Yep.
jiu-jitsu for a number of years now, and 90% of people who start jiu-jitsu will quit before they get their first promotion to a new belt. And I know that that's the case here as well. So I see it a lot now. The number of new followers on Instagram, for example, continues to rise, but there's a lot of people dropping off as well, which is exactly what I expect is going to happen. And it is this amazing combination of it's come in waves, right? People come in and they're, oh, this is the best thing ever. And then next week, you said something I don't like, I'm out of here. Okay.
All right.
Right. And which has been an amazing lesson for me to recognize that, again, I'm just creating the art and putting it out there. I'm not standing in the gallery telling people, come and look at this. Let me explain it to
Uh-huh.
you, which at first I did feel as though I had the need to do. So it's this amazing combination of individual people reaching out to me directly and connecting with me and all sorts of different things. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, that's great. Now that you have your OnlyFans set up, what can your fans, I would call them, expect once they get in there?
So, and the reason why I made the decision to do that was, people have been asking basically right from the beginning, hey, do you have an OnlyFans? Do you have an OnlyFans? And I was
Sure.
like, again, I swore I'd never be on TikTok. I swore I'd never be on any of those
Uh-huh.
things.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, like in jiu-jitsu, I need to embrace the positions that I'm scared of the most if I want to start to learn how to be comfortable in them. And this is something I had no experience with. I knew what people were expecting of it. I knew what my own perception of what OnlyFans is.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, I don't know yet. Again, I literally took the step without knowing what the next step was going to be. And then when I got in there, and people have been engaging with me there, and I think right now there's about 350, subscribers or so far in the first 4 or 5 days, is that, it's this combination of people expecting, right? Hey, are you going to get naked? Are you going to get naked? And I'm like, yeah, I know everybody wants to see my dick, but I'm going to show you my heart instead, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's okay. That's so I'm kind of glad you said it like that because it's crazy to see from like where I'm sitting as an outsider, like, oh my gosh, these people are really intense with you and really want something specific. And you're kind of turning it back and putting the mirror in people's face. And like you said, a lot of people don't want to see that. But then there's those who, whether they came for the right or the wrong reasons, actually can understand the benefit of the mission.
And that's where what I realized again. When I took the step and did it, I didn't know what I was doing. Literally, I knew what I was doing
Yeah.
without having any idea
Right.
why
You
I
were
was
just
doing it.
speaking. You weren't like over analyzing social media or
No.
working from a, yeah.
And so when I started the OnlyFans this week, it wasn't until probably 2 days later that I went, oh, of course, right? If I'm going to try to bring light, I have to bring it to what I would consider to be a dark place, right? A place where my perception is there's lots of people chasing sensations who
Yep.
may or may not know how to purposefully attract feelings and purposefully share feelings in what I would consider to be an authentic, empathic, curious, creative, courageous way. So I was like, again, a firefighter, if there's a building that's burning and one that's not, the firefighter doesn't run into the building that's not burning. They run into the one that's burning. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to go
You're
figure
going
out
in.
what this is. So I have invited people to come to me, or I will travel and I will go to them and sit down and have a conversation. And then I will teach them a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and then we will actually do some rolling, some sparring together. And as people have been reaching out to me, the way that I have explained it going back is my vision is two things. My vision is, number one, I want to demonstrate to people that how easy it is to build an authentic, empathic, curious, creative, courageous, loving connection with somebody very quickly if you both come in with that intention through that conversation. And then I want to put the gentle back in the gentle art of jiu-jitsu. So most people are familiar with jiu-jitsu from mixed martial arts like the UFC and that sort of thing. But it literally translates to the gentle art. It is about how to avoid conflict at all cost, and should conflict arise, how to resolve that conflict as peacefully, as gently, in a way that keeps everybody involved as safe as possible. So that's my two parts of this
Yeah.
vision with OnlyFans is going to be to go and connect with people, have an authentic, empathic, curious, creative, courageous connection with them, and then share the gentle art, because jiu-jitsu is about the principles of owning the space, the movement, the energy, and the willpower. Because whoever owns the space owns the movement. Whoever owns the space and the movement owns the energy. Whoever owns the space, the movement, and the energy owns the willpower. It's not just physical space, Jordan. It's, of course, the physical and the psychological space. And again, this is my perception and my projection. There's a lot of the people who are reaching out to me and just, hey, get naked and here's what I'm going to do to you. Those are people who may not have the best control of their psychological space movement, what's coming in, right? And I also know, had I lived their exact lives, I would be them doing the same thing. So there's
Sure. Yeah.
there is no judgment there. It is just, if, and I'm happy to get into it. My father passed away of cancer in 2021, and he did what was called a medical assist in dying. So at the end, he chose his time. The nurses came, and he was surrounded by his family. To his dying breath, he could not say "I love you" to his 4 sons or to his wife. Could not say it. I can't speak in a language that I've never learned, and I recognize that I believe that it's not that these people are. Man, I know the way I was raised when we didn't access feelings. We didn't talk about feelings. We just shoved everything down. And I can't imagine what it must be like for people who maybe were raised that way. And also, from an orientation standpoint, probably a lot of these people didn't realize their orientation until they sort of reached, puberty and started
Sure.
reaching maturity. And if you had lived your whole life up to that point, being taught that what you didn't even know you yourself were was wrong, like, holy shit, what a.
Yeah.
So,
And unpacking that in the era of social media with all these different opinions being flung at you and access to
yes,
everything you could possibly want.
yes.
You can't, right, you can't put yourself in their shoes, but
And I think that's the big thing you said there, right? With access to everything you want. And I think what I've learned through this experience is that it's access to all of these things that you think you want, but it's that dopamine rush, that sensation. An orgasm is a sensation, it's not a feeling, right? Access to all of these things you think you want, but you've been trained to think you want sensations. But if you've never actually accessed the feelings underneath those things, you don't even know that is something that's possible to do. And I speak from experience, having lived my life in that. And I've
sure.
also, through the internal quote unquote work that I've done to be able to access those things now, I know how transformative it is. And if I can play a role in helping people have that experience, man, how selfish would I be if I didn't?
Look at that. Well, I mean, all this has showed me, first of all, I appreciate your compassion and I appreciate your full genuine interest in this mission. but also how you're kind of approaching it in such a way of you are recognizing that everyone is at a different place and that the things they're going to say to you, you're not saying because they're not in their shoes, but then you're responding to it with a kind of lightheartedness that I think brings people even closer and then weeds out the ones who are fully there for the wrong reason. So I really appreciate seeing that.
And I'm thank you for sharing that. One of the other things that I've come to realize is that if you have lived your whole life believing that being loved was a punch in the nose, then if somebody actually comes up to you and says, "Hey, I love you," and tries to give you a hug, that is going to be as terrifying as, right? So for me, finding that right balance of having to meet people where they are, right? If somebody comes up to me and says, "You fucking piece of shit," and I say, "I love you, give me a hug," that's very, very jarring. But if I can be just a little less aggressive than they are, a little bit calmer,
Hmm.
but still get close to their frequency so that it's not repulsive to start, I just literally think of myself as an instrument, right? I don't care what genre of music you're playing. I don't care. I'm an instrument. If I can start playing the music that you're playing or close to, once we're jamming together, who knows where we might come to find middle ground. But I recognize that I have to, it's far more effective for me if I can find a way to get as close to where you are or make you think that I'm as close to where you are. And
Hmm.
this is fascinating for me in this quote unquote digital world, right? Somebody walks into the jiu-jitsu studio,
Right.
it's right there. I can feel their energy.
Yeah.
I can take control when we start sparring, training together. You can't lie on the mats. You can't. Doesn't matter what you say about yourself. Doesn't matter what you think about it. Doesn't matter. The truth comes out. I've broken down in tears many times on the mats by myself. It is. I can in the physical world. I'm so used to it. So I'm literally learning how to do that in this world and in jiu-jitsu in the
Hmm.
physical world. I tap out all the time and we stop, we
Right.
reset, we touch a bump, and we go back in. So that's what I'm trying to find out how to
Yeah.
adapt that to this world.
Which is so the danger of the world we're living in. You know, like I say this all the time. I'm very grateful to be alive when I am, that I have access to the world and I understand so much more than my parents may have, and that everything just feels more accessible and small. But at the same time, it's this constant inundation of information, which is being presented to you in a digital form. So you're not actually understanding who people are and how they're coming. I mean, that was the main issue as someone who had a COVID experience that wasn't as bad as it could have been, but an isolating one nonetheless. It was that like, how am I supposed to work the rest of my, at the time, the rest of my
Yeah.
life when I can't understand people's emotions or physical interactions? It's the same thing. It sounds like with jujitsu of, okay, we need to be here together in this place to fully understand each other. And that's never going to happen on Instagram. It's just a matter of making it work to the best of our abilities.
Which is one of the reasons why I love so much that on Instagram, that again I can, and I can't do this on OnlyFans, right? If somebody comments on a video on OnlyFans, I can only respond by typing. I can't respond in a video.
Oh,
If
you
it's
love responding with your videos.
well, and the reason why is when it comes to communication, the most effective way to communicate is in person, right?
Of course.
Second would be what you and I are doing now via video conference. Third would be on the telephone. Fourth would probably be email. Fifth would be text or something to that effect. And I find it fascinating that we live in a time where we have more ways than ever in the history of humanity to efficiently and effectively communicate. And largely, we've gone back to sending each other cave drawings in the form of emojis and hoping that the person can understand what the fuck we mean.
Of course. And what your tone is and what you actually mean.
Yes, right. So that's why the video part for me is again, I don't know with these. Honestly, I don't know what half the stuff is, right? The acronyms, and I don't
Yeah.
know if it's spelling. I have no idea. From again, I talk to people face to face, if not video conference, if not telephone. Like typing is a last resort to me, and even still, when I type text messages, they're full sentences, grammar. Like it is the I believe the greatest gift that humans have been given is the ability to communicate with others and with ourselves. My
Sure.
unless you're different from me, Jordan, I only have one language, English, which
Hmm.
means when I think I'm thinking in English, which means my ability to think is limited to the vocabulary that I have and my understanding of it.
Sure.
So I don't know. Do people who type WTF, do they literally in their head think WTF, or do they actually think what the fuck? Or how long will it be before they just think WTF and now,
Right.
right? I don't
And
know.
it lose, and at that point, it loses meaning. It becomes its own thing. So, well, so I mean, this is like all the right things to be thinking about, I think, and yeah. I appreciate also hearing, like, I think in the casual user sense, where I'm kind of getting one perspective of you, and I was certain there was a lot more to dig into, and I'm very happy we were able to talk about it. Anything else you'd like to share? I'll try my best to make sure this ends up in the right side of Instagram.
No, it doesn't matter to me at all. You and I have brought our matter together in a way that it's going to
Sure.
resonate at whatever frequency it resonates at. But I am curious to know a little bit more about the what Daddy Hunt, is that what it's called? I
Yeah.
couldn't even remember what it
Yeah,
was.
so yes, that's what it is. So yeah, it's an app that's designed to it's for older gay men, and it's
Hmm.
designed to match them with other older gay men or younger guys who are into them, which is kind of how I came across your page in the first place. I mean, I am one of those people who does like that,
Yeah.
which is great for me, but also that being part of this app, it's kind of, there's an extremely sexual side to this world,
Hmm.
and then there's a much more cerebral, emotional side to it. And I think in the current era of dating apps, especially for gay men,
Yeah.
everything is focused on sex, which is not the worst thing in the world because many good things can come out of that. And it's almost just like we blinked, a decade went by, and it just became kind of part of our lives. So, like, taking a step back, when I rejoined this app after taking a bit for a while and working with them, it's so much of the last decade of focus was on that, like, purely sexual side, and that was what sells and that's what gets people in the door. But then there is a need, like, there is definitely a need, but there is a, like, a actual demand
Yeah.
for people to find those more cerebral or emotional connections, whether it's through social media or through an app. For a lot of the people on our app, you may be living somewhere where the guys you like aren't near. So the only way to even start a conversation that could potentially lead to something is on an app, which
Yeah.
just kind of just makes it the reality of, yeah, I guess, like, if you can't go, if the bar in your town isn't going to have the people you're attracted to or interested in, then yeah, an app's the next best option. But
Hmm.
trying to create that kind of environment where we have a lot of checks in place to make sure that, it's like the spam and the trolls and the fakeness is dispelled in a way that's fair, and then it's what ideally what's left is people who are genuinely looking for the right things. And even if the people are 3,000 miles apart, which is a reality, at
Yeah.
least it's some sort of a connection for two people who are looking for each other, especially for older gay men who, I mean, have their own story and
Yeah.
legacy and
Hmm.
have come from all different directions that my generation can't even really understand. So just trying to make sure that we're pointing people in the right direction. I think the stuff that you're working on, you're coming across in the physical form that people want to hear it from, but, like, is actually giving the right advice at the end of the day.
Well, thank you, and I recognize I was I was born as a straight white male in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, in one of the best countries on the planet. I'm 6'3", 240 pounds. I'm not horrible looking. Frick, I got a full head of hair. Like Jordan, I didn't choose any of it and checked every box that today's version of society, right, privileges,
Hmm.
and obliviously live my life that way without ever really thinking about it, right? And I recognize there's still a lot of places in the world where people see this and they're going to go, "I'm supposed to listen to that," right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so I'm going to do my best to purposefully use that now. And this is another one of the things that really surprised me. And so I'm just looking at the time. Are you okay to go a couple minutes long?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Totally good.
thank you. I just want to respect your time. The when I first started doing lives on Instagram, again, it was my buddy Aaron. And he's like, you can go live on there. And I just pressed the live button. And then I'd have these great conversations with people. And then shortly after, I'd get a message. Oh, I didn't know this was going to be posted. So many people don't know I'm out yet. Can you please? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Right.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
and I've connected with lots of people in the Middle East as well, where literally they're putting their lives at risk. And I'm like, fuck, I can't even imagine
Hmm.
what that is like. It surprised me, guys throughout North America, primarily in the US, who would reach out afterwards, can you please take this down? Right. I'm like, holy shit. Like I, I fucking hate that we still live in a world that
Sure. Yeah.
where, where that is a thing, but it is. And, back to that, the difference between, again, the sensation side and the connection, people looking for connections. And I just happen to be a person who, I was married for 26 years and I got nothing to hide, right? I've been with three people in my entire life and I hope I don't get to number four. And I've never been interested in casual things. It's just never been something I'm interested in, but I'm fascinated by my journey of understanding how to love myself, and why I love myself was based on, oh, if I don't know where I'm going, why I'm going there, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, who I'm going to be, how the fuck can I know how I feel about myself?
Sure.
And I recognize that in my personal relationships, my business relationships, my romantic relationship, that is how I know the strength of, or the amount of love that I have for something, and understanding is alignment on those five things. So that would be the biggest piece of advice that I could give anybody is, again, take some time and figure those five things out about yourself. And when you're assessing potential partners, potential connections, just to ask those questions. Because if you're like this, you can kind of go forward and back a little bit, but at least you're going together on a path. And again, I was married for 26 years, had no idea that we went like this somewhere along the
Hmm.
line because I never thought about it. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then all right. And I think it's all those things you look back on and you try to think where things happen one way or another. But I mean, everything I've learned from you in the last half hour is how introspective you are and able to kind of dissect those things, and that you really want to spread that forward. So that's good to
yeah,
see.
yeah. And we'll just keep having fun while we're doing it and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Where can people find you?
Um, Instagram, OnlyFans, YouTube. It's all make our matter matter.
Sweet. I'll make sure they come. Thanks so much for chatting. This
Thanks,
was
Willie.
great, and
Appreciate you
I'm
having me
sure
on.
we'll be in touch ourselves. So
Yeah,
this was good.
listen, if you ever want to do this again, happy to. And
Great.
actually, listen, when I come to New York, will you sit down with me and have a conversation and maybe do a little training?
Yeah, I don't come from the jujitsu martial arts world or anything. But I'm a CrossFitter, and I do really get the mental
Mm.
change that comes when you're devoted to a task and a goal. So yeah, I'm always open to stuff. So
All right.
good. Then
Well,
we'll do it.
look forward to connecting with you again.
Good to chat.
All right. Be good. See ya.